Hello students, this is teacher Ken. Today we're going to start with the correct structure of us using and to. Okay, so when do we use this? We're going to use it when we have two identical, well, technically here it says predicates, but two identical ideas, okay? Two situations that are the same for two different people. For example, as we see on the screen, we have John can play the piano and Alice can play the piano. In this case, we're going to work with the action and the auxiliary. That is what we're going to allow to have, let's say, repeated. Always focus on the auxiliary and finish there before adding the to. Let's go ahead and read that first situation. Situation A says, John can play the piano. Alice can play the piano. So you would say, John can play the piano and Alice can too. George studies hard. Helen studies hard. George studies hard and Helen does too. Paul is a student. Mary is a student. Paul is a student and Mary is too. So once again, let's pay attention to the order of the words here. Always focus on the tense or the auxiliary. If we're speaking in present, we're going to use does. If the action is in past, we use did. If we're using a modal auxiliary, we continue with the same modal auxiliary. If we are using the verb to be, we continue using the verb to be. Remember, it's going to be and the person, the auxiliary, to. You're always going to use a comma before the and. Right now, we are using our English sentence structure book, and we are on page 129 on the PDF document, but that is page 116 on the physical book. I will be leaving a link in case you would like to purchase the book and have an original copy for yourself. But remember that in the description, we also have the link for you to access the book and take a look at it while we are practicing for free. Remember that the podcast is available both on video, as you may watch it on YouTube, or on audio, and it's on Spotify and everywhere else where you can find a podcast available. Let's go to these additional examples. They are all regarding the same structure. Helen is going to play tennis and Alice is too. So right here, and two. George wrote a letter. and Paul did too. We have to take an exam, and they do too. In case you have any questions in regards to why we are using is, did, or do, don't hesitate to leave me a message either in the comments or via WhatsApp if you have it available, okay? Now let's go to exercise 5. In this exercise, we're going to practice that structure that we have just reviewed. Let's go from the examples right away. Remember the way we work this exercise? I will say the statement and then give you a moment to give me the correct answer. During the examples, the answers are fully capitalized. After that, starting number 1, I say the statement. I give you a moment to say the correct structure applying and to. And after that, I am going to give you the correct structure so that you can compare it to what you had and you will be able to repeat it after me as well. Remember, this is the most important part of the practice that is going to help you understand and remember the correct order of words. So let's go from the examples on exercise 5. Exercise 5 is in page 116 of our book. John can speak English. Mary can speak English. John can speak English and Mary can too. Repeat. He has to learn Spanish. She has to learn Spanish. He has to learn Spanish, and she does too. He is studying it now. She is studying it now. He is studying it now, and she is too. He studied French last year. She studied French last year. He studied French last year, and she did too. Okay, let's continue with the exercise. He is taking a course in French now. She is taking a course in French now. He is taking a course in French now, and she is too. Repeat. Okay, number 2. He is going to study French tonight. She is going to study French tonight. He is going to study French tonight, and she is too. He studies every night. She studies every night. He studies every night, and she does too. Okay, number 4. He will have an exam tomorrow. She will have an exam tomorrow. He will have an exam tomorrow, and she will too. He has to take the exam. She has to take the exam. He has to take the exam, and she does too. Very good. Number 6. He should study for it tonight. She should study for it tonight. He should study for it tonight, and she should too. He might pass the exam. She might pass the exam. He might pass the exam, and she might too. So, before we continue, let's take a small pause and review the examples once again. Remember, the structure is always going to be and, the person, the auxiliary, and to. This is going to be whether it's in present, or in past, or with will, or with the verb to be, whatever case, that is always going to be the structure after the comma. And the person, the auxiliary, to. Let's continue with the rest of the exercise. He passed the last exam. She passed the last exam. He passed the last exam, and she did too. He is a good student. She is a good student. He is a good student, and she is too. Examinations are necessary. Homework is necessary. Examinations are necessary, and homework is too. John and Mary have to do a lot of homework. We have to do a lot of homework. John and Mary have to do a lot of homework, and we do too. They had to study last night. We had to study last night. They had to study last night, and we did too. Okay, so remember, if you have any questions about why we were using did, might, is, should, does, etc., leave me a message in the comments or a direct message in WhatsApp if you have the number. Now that we have practiced this structure, remember that this is an exercise that you should be doing at least 3 times in the week. The first time, you can do it with the book open, watching the YouTube video, following the text that is there. After that, you should start trying to do it without looking at the text. And if you made a mistake, you can go ahead and pause, go back to the video, or open your book, take a look at the sentence and the underlining, and then after those first 2 times, the third time and on, you should aim to be able to listen to the entire practice without looking at the book, but listening and repeating out loud through the entire exercise without any mistakes. You can use this and repeat it as many times as you'd like, and you can share it with your friends so you can go ahead and practice together. Now that we saw the structure with 2, there is a note that I would like to show you that is a little bit further down in the book. The note is on page 118, just a couple of pages later. It says, "And so" can be used of in place of and, to, as in the following sentences. I can go and John can too means the same as saying I can go and so can John. Be very mindful of the position of the person in this structure. Remember that we are talking in the case of to, as we saw in the beginning of the exercise, it is and, person, auxiliary, to. But when we are using so, the structure is and so, auxiliary, person. The person goes at the end. Because it is a different structure, I would like to practice it with the same exercise, exercise 5. So we're going to go over exercise 5 one more time, but instead of using and, person, auxiliary, to, we're going to use the structure and so, auxiliary, person. I am going to write it in the examples so that you are able to see it a little better. Example number 1 says, John can speak English, Mary can speak English. In this case, we would say, John can speak English, and so can Mary. He has to learn Spanish. She has to learn Spanish would become he has to learn Spanish, and so does Mary. Let me fix this a little bit better on the screen. There you go. Example number 3 is he is studying it now, she is studying it now, and the other option would be he is studying it now, and so is she. He studied French last year. She studied French last year would become he studied French last year, and so did she. Let me go ahead and organize this one a little bit better also. Yes. So again, for the structure that we are going to practice right now, after the comma, the order is going to be and, so, auxiliary, and then the person. Are you guys ready? Remember that you can use this video or this podcast episode as many times as you need to. So don't worry, everything will be just fine. Number 1 says, he is taking a course in French now. She is taking a course in French now. You would say, he is taking a course in French now, and so is she. Repeat. Very good. Number 2. He is going to study French tonight. She is going to study French tonight. He is going to study French tonight, and so is she. He studies every night. She studies every night. He studies every night, and so does she. He will have an exam tomorrow. She will have an exam tomorrow. He will have an exam tomorrow, and so will she. He has to take the exam. She has to take the exam. He has to take the exam, and so does she. He should study for it tonight. She should study for it tonight. He should study for it tonight, and so should she. He might pass the exam. She might pass the exam. He might pass the exam, and so might she. He passed the last exam. She passed the last exam. He passed the last exam, and so did she. He is a good student. She is a good student. He is a good student, and so is she. Examinations are necessary. Homework is necessary. Examinations are necessary, and so is homework. John and Mary have to do a lot of homework. We have to do a lot of homework. John and Mary have to do a lot of homework, and so do we. They had to study last night. We had to study last night. They had to study last night, and so did we. So, I know the order is a little tricky in the beginning, but do not worry, do not feel stressed. Everything is going to be fine. Remember, you can repeat this video or this podcast episode as many times necessary. And I am available for any questions in the comments. Thank you very much for listening to this episode, and remember that English is easy. You just need to practice. See you next class.